Mike.
Hey, how are you?
Not bad.
You're looking very cozy there, both of you. Nice cozy jumpers, nice cozy blankets.
A red one and a blue one.
Yeah, very on trend.
I mean, they're like we always have, but they just haven't.
Let's just pretend they're not. Let's pretend you got them specially.
I just introduced Nick to Sherlock. He's never seen it before.
Ah, okay. Okay, yeah. The BBC version. Yeah. Because I'm in the minority. I prefer the US version, Elementary. I think it's fantastic.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment.
Okay. Yeah. I guess my abstract thoughts are Benedict Cumberbatch, he does a very good role playing Sherlock, but in Elementary, it feels like he actually is Sherlock. That's the difference, I'd say. It's a completely modern retelling, the US version, whereas it still feels like the BBC version. It's trying to be like the original Sherlock without. So the US version is like a recovering heroin addict. He's just insanely gifted, but you can almost feel his inner what do you call it, self-conflicts whenever he talks to himself, whenever he talks. Anyway, it's really good.
Yeah. Who plays Sherlock in that one?
It's oh goodness, is it Miller, the guy who was in Trainspotting actually, and who played Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster, depending on which version you saw.
Guy who was in Trainspotting.
He had bleach blonde hair in Trainspotting.
Oh, who plays
Johnny Lee Miller? Is that his name?
I know what you mean. Plays Sick Boy.
Yeah. Now I'd never seen Trainspotting until after I watched the full 4 seasons of Elementary. So it's really interesting watching it that way around. Whereas I guess most people have seen it the other way around.
Yeah.
I haven't seen either.
There you go. You'll enjoy it then. Your hair looks lovely, Katie. Have you done something special today?
I washed it.
Ah, fabulous.
Which I admit does not happen most days.
Oh, I'm a good maybe 2 months into just using water now.
Oh.
I think it's doing okay.
What are you up to, Michael?
Washing dishes.
Sounds thrilling.
Is that a strategically placed glass there?
Yeah, I tried to make purple, but it's more red.
Oh, that's a really nice idea.
I didn't really have blue things. I only had blackberries.
What is it? A smoothie?
Cocktail.
Nice.
Oh, naked baby.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, you come to look at screens. You shouldn't really be looking at screens at bedtime.
Oh.
So, go away from the screen.
Oh.
Some inferno. Got a fire tonight.
Ah, okay.
We went to the post box, which is just at the end of the road, and got very, very wet.
Oh no, oh dear.
Came back and lit a fire.
That sounds like a great idea. Hey, Rory. Right. Are there many more like open fires up in Scotland then? Because I know Bean's got one. I know you've got one.
I mean, we had ours put in.
Ah, okay.
Oh geez. I literally just came. Sorry, I'll finish that sentence.
That was waiting.
Keep it to yourself, mate.
I literally just came mere moments ago from finished the last chapter.
Oh, it's wow.
I literally just finished hearing Frankie, sign off, and then hit the login for this now.
Oh, so you're an emotional wreck already.
Oh boy, yeah.
I was just I'm not sure who I've said this to you, but I think last night was possibly Frankie's finest hour in terms of
That performance, yeah.
yeah,
Did
phenomenal.
a very good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. I'd never thought of. I like that little aside about Romeo and Juliet. Like, I'd never considered the possibility that from like, yeah, for like the first few acts, it could absolutely be a comedy.
Yep. Could have been.
And then it
I think
takes a
that's like-
hard pivot.
Do you think it's like a self-reference thinking? Because I've described this story to other friends as saying it's like a modern version of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, right. Like it's yeah, two houses both alike in dignity. In the multiverse where we lay our scene.
You haven't gotten there yet.
No, I'm on chapter 7.
Gustav's way behind.
Oh goodness.
No worries. Yeah, Kitty actually decided because the pace is so quick and the like imagery is so vivid. It's like quite dazzling. And so they decided actually we went to the bookshop today and got a print copy, and so they're gonna read through it before they come back to Storytime to like hear it out, just because they want to really like wallow in that prose.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's moving too fast. And it's a book that.
Well, just like it's so many like settings and like flashes and stuff, and like and it's so lyrical.
Yeah.
That you kind of want to like. Hi, Frankie. Obviously, like Frankie's delivery is a fucking delight, but also like, yeah, I get I'll definitely go back and reread it with a chance to like sit in the.
What are we?
The text.
What are we talking about? Is that this?
Yeah. Just like the way that it's like really dazzling imagery, but also the pace is so quick that like you want to like Kitty's. I was just saying, Kitty got a print copy today so that they can like, just read it at their own pace as well.
Fantastic. My God, Megan, I love those glasses.
They're amazing. I've been wanting to say this for like the past 5 minutes.
Cute. Your eyes look so beautiful.
If you do that, do they kind of roll around? Are they proper googly eyes?
I was like, I didn't want to, the seriousness of the subject, I didn't want to interrupt, but I had already like come on with the glasses and I was like, oh.
Oh man, do you know what we should have done for the like fancy dress theme this evening?
What should we have done?
Fucking time travel, just like period pieces, like
Bill and
5
Ted.
different period pieces worn it simultaneously.
God
Oh, well.
damn it. God
Okay,
damn it.
next time we do a time
Gustav's
travel
here.
story.
Gustav's here. Hi, Gustav.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm just trying to catch up. I'm on chapter 7, so it's gonna.
He's not going to catch up.
How are you
So
doing?
Who else have we got?
by the way,
Yeah, on
I
the
was
topic of-
reading a review earlier of the book that described it as like if the lake house was about Master Chief.
I really wish that you had saved that until afterwards, because now I'm not going to be able to think of them in any other terms than who's Keanu Reeves and who's Sandra Bullock.
Wait, they're both Sandra Bullock.
They're both Sandra Bullock.
I was like, Red is Keanu Reeves, I feel.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Lake House. Like, I know of it as a cultural artifact. Like, I kind
seen
of know
Master-
roughly what happens in it, but I've never seen it.
You've seen MasterChef, though.
I've seen MasterChef.
Well, the reason behind the glasses, though, is I was just trying to, I was like, I have nothing. I mean, I'm drinking red wine, which was close enough. But I was like, I have nothing. Maybe I'll augment my eyes. They talk about how their bodies are augmented.
I like it. I approve very much. I have nothing. I have the purple of my choker, and I am shamefully unadorned. Otherwise, I've come completely unprepared. There's a purple wall
Michael had colour appropriate trousers on.
Well, let me see you. Where are you? Hello, my darling.
One
You
of them.
have you got who's got colour appropriate trousers on?
Michael.
I have trousers. Red
Excellent.
and
Oh,
blue.
God,
cross-
even that
crossing
hat.
blades.
That
Very
is
nice.
a wrong hat.
I love it.
And Andrada has brought friends.
Ah, friends of all the right colours.
Hi.
Andrada. Oh my God, gold star, top of the class.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Ashura.
I can't.
Well, you said we might need cuddles today, so I've got my friends here.
Hold on.
Oh, wait, is this a Teddy required finale? Do we need to prep for that?
Don't know.
Oh.
I don't.
How mysterious.
Couldn't possibly say.
Rory, on the topic of period dress, I was listening to a podcast today, and apparently there's a world-leading expert on costume period drama, and she's set the benchmark as being Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, because they apparently do a really good job of costume drama. So they say she reckons if any movie can do it better than Bill and Ted, then they're doing something right.
Very cool.
That is absolutely not the work I would have expected them to cite as an example of historical accuracy.
But apparently it's really good, according to the expert.
It's also Bill and Ted is also just the best movie in all aspects. It's
Most excellent.
The most excellent movie that there has ever been, ever, right?
I don't
Bill and Ted's
think I've ever watched
excruciatingly
it.
attentive art
Me
department.
neither.
I haven't seen it.
There's a sequel, isn't there? They're bringing out a sequel. It's like,
Well, there was already.
3.
Yeah.
were there already sequels?
Yeah, Bill and Ted's franchise of diminishing returns. No, I've heard it's very good. But yeah, I forget what it's called.
So what is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, for those of us who don't know?
Sorry. Okay, so it's them going back and forward in time, getting
To write a history paper.
That's exactly yes. They get
And then they fall in love. It's
Beethoven
the most
and
beautiful bromance.
princesses.
That's a good point. Who's Bill and who's Ted?
And how good is this history paper going to be?
So who would play Red and Blue?
Keanu Reeves and Keanu Reeves. He's very versatile.
I feel like this.
What were you saying, Ed?
Oh, we never really did casting for this one of the folks who are around too, but it's a harder one to cast because there's only really like Red, Blue, Commandant, and Garden, and no one really wants to be Commandant or Garden, I'm assuming. So.
And now I can't unsee Keanu Reeves and Bill.
I wouldn't mind being Garden. I think Garden's creepy, and I like that.
What's going on with Lisa's hair?
Oh, has Lisa
Trying to
got
work it out.
Reading Red and Blue into it.
Okay.
Ooh, how exciting! Oh, speaking of Lisa and how amazing she is, thank you, Lisa and Ian, for bringing to my attention about the once again mysteriously curtailed recording. Has anyone who was catching up from last night, have they seen the kind of end snippet that I posted on the Facebook page?
Yes, and it was beautiful.
This is very beautiful. And thank you so much, Frankie, for going out of your way to getting that to us in time.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, no, my pleasure. I'm sorry that I don't know why the technology is suddenly, it's someone's interfering up thread is what.
Vicious.
Red and Blue be played by Helen Mirren and Judi Dench.
Ooh.
Yes.
Commandant played by Helena Bonham Carter. Ooh. And Garden played by Helena Bonham Carter.
Ooh, what about?
Secret by Maggie Smith.
Secret by Harry Potter. Yeah, I want like a badass women of Hollywood edition of this.
How do you feel about Garden played by Gillian Anderson?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How about Garden played by Gillian Anderson and Commandant played by Pam Ferris? What's Pam Ferris up to these days?
Don't know who that is.
Still terrible.
Miss Trunchbull.
I'm Googling as we speak.
And
Ooh,
she was
her as Commandant?
Really
Yeah.
enjoying this.
she also played Aunt Marge in Harry Potter, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Ooh, what about her and then the person who played Umbridge's Garden? With that like lovely, sweet kind of stereotype?
Imelda Staunton. I love her so much. I think Imelda Staunton has a very sexy voice. I think she doesn't get like cast for it because she's like a dinky little kind of lady, but I think she's got a really kind of sultry voice. She could make a killing in erotica. Yeah, I'm standing by that. How are we doing for time? What time is it, folks?
Katie's whispering very quietly. Is it story time?
Katie, what was that, darling?
It's story.
I've just reached the seal pun.
Yes, excellent.
There's a bar behind.
Okay.
The gavel is being banged. It's happening.
Can you do the last little bit that some of the catch-up crew missed? Because I don't think everyone had caught what you posted. I think there was 1 or 2 no's. Unless it's really long, in which case.
It is a little bit long, my darling.
Okay, don't worry.
I'm sorry. There's not anything kind of plot vital that is covered by it. And I think I would struggle to like leap in right into the middle of it.
Yeah, that's very fair. That's why I figured I'd check in case it was short.
Thank you, sweetheart. Okay. So, here we are. Here we go. Okay. Final session. Fortifying sip of water. Now, my darlings, are you sitting comfortably? Are you sitting comfortably? Martin is here, lurking sinisterly out of sight. He's making himself comfortable. Let's try this again. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Red arrives too late. She should not come at all. Commandant will watch closely, for this is her triumph, long awaited. Red does not care. She so rarely dreams, but did tonight, of players in an empty stage, of Blue crushing a poisonberry between her teeth, and on waking, Red screamed, sweaty, death-mouthed, wide awake, uncertain, as if a pane of glass within her soul had cracked. Terror seized her. She will not trust history or the reports of spies. Threads burn as you enter them. She cuts herself out of the air onto a shit-stinking muddy street in some up-thread Albion, unwarmed by weak sun in a sky the colour of whey. She wears trousers, a long coat, sheer gloves. To locals' eyes, she might as well be naked. Her passage makes waves. She will not be here long. Garden, panicked, slithers shoots up thread to catch her, chase her, kill her. Commandant, feeling this, sends her own agents in pursuit. Fuck them. She knows the shop, has observed it from afar and barges through into a haze, cloying smells of drying fruit and herbs and heavy metals, every wall hung with bushes in some state of desiccation. The master alchemist consults a tear-streaked widow client. They stare at Red in shock, in fear, and she locks them in place with a gesture of her gloves. Climbs the stairs, finds the prentice's room. Knocks once, growls, slaps the door off its hinges. And there she lies, sprawled upon the bed. She might be asleep, wrapped in sunlight, but she is not. Blood has congealed already. Red wanted the poison to be painless, but Garden's people, Blues, hold to life, and breaking that hold takes savagery. Blue fought to. Red can't bear to think the word die at first, but that's hypocrisy. This is her fault. The least she can do is own it. Start again. Blue fought to die composed. Red only sees the pain because she knows to look for it, and knows too how Blue looks when she's hiding something. The face still. The jaw clenched, lips softly parted. The chest does not rise or fall. The eyelids parted, whites visible and shot through with blood. One hand clasps a letter to her breast. On the letter, Red's name, her real name. Blue should not know it, but then Blue never claimed not to know. A final confession, a final taunt. The letter is sealed. The sky should crack. The world is hollow, its many braids, chewing gum snarls of nonsense. Let them die. Red falls to her knees by the bed. She runs her hand through Blue's hair and grips it between her fingers, and it does not feel the way she imagined, and that is the last sick joke. She clutches it and feels the skull and the stillness, and lets her own sobs choke her into silence. The sky changes colour outside the window. Vines sprout from dead floorboards. Alarms are ringing in the ordered garden and through the agency's cold halls. Agents exposed, endangered, dead. Monsters climb up thread to find her, kill her, save her. She clutches Blue and feels her cold and stiff. The world trembles and the sky darkens. Garden may burn this whole strand rather than let its infection descend. But by some coward's instinct, as the sky goes black and the screams begin outside, Red grabs the letter and runs. She is fast and fierce, and unlike her pursuers, she does not care if she never finds her way home again. She slips from thread to thread. Cities bloom and decay around her. Stars die, continents shift. Everything starts and everything fails. She finds herself on a cliff at the world's end. Mushroom clouds flower on the horizon as some remnant of a remnant of man wipes itself out. Her hands shake as they raise the letter. The seal is a blot, a dot, an ending. It laughs at her, red and hungry, and she wants teeth to crouch beneath, a cave that is a mouth where she can hide and be eaten and swallowed and gone. This is the last of it. Blue should have listened. She should have run. How could she die like this? How could she die at all? The tears have anger in them at first, but anger burns out fast. Tears stay. She slides her finger beneath the flap and pulls. The seal breaks as easy as a spine. She reads. Around her the world burns. Planets wither. The waves wash carcasses ashore. Red screams at the sky. She calls beings in which she does not believe to account. She wants there to be a god so she can curse her. She reads again. Radiation wind blows through her. Hidden organs wake to keep her alive. A shadow stands beside her. Red turns and looks. She has never seen the seeker before, her shadow. Even now she sees only outline, distortion, crystal slipped into a clear river, and a hand outstretched. No agency creature after all, and no garden thing either. This should be a mystery, an unveiling of secrets, an answer. What does it matter? She thinks. What does any of it matter? She presses the letter into that glassy, reaching hand and steps off the cliff. She holds to her despair as rocks streak past and other rocks approach, and the sky's a ruin of bombs. But at the last breath before impact, she breaks. This is too good for her. Too easy, too quick. Blue wouldn't grace her with a death this clean. And she's always been a coward. Weeping, cursing, broken, a hair's breadth from the rocks, she slips away into the past. Oh, Red. The twist of you in me, the writhe. You're a whip uncoiling in my veins, and I write between the rearing and the snap. Of course I write to you. Of course I ate your words. I will try to compose myself, to order myself into something you can read. I fall to paper and quill because there is no time now to do anything else. And it is luxury in its own way to do this. To write in plain sight. To write too to the rhythm of what I feel happening. It's fascinating in its own way. It's everything I wanted from an enemy. I wish you could hear me clap. Brava, my pomegranate. Well done. 9 out of 10. I reserve a point always to encourage reach exceeding grasp. The ache in the back teeth is an interesting touch. I've been through the cold sweats and now I think my hands are starting to shake, so I pray you'll forgive the flaws in penmanship. You should read your triumph in them. I was disappointed at first, you know, the obviousness of the double bluff. Methought you did protest too much, but it worked after all. I bit your poisoned apple. There'll be no glass coffin for me, all your shift could ever have been, and certainly no necrophilic prince to tumble me into a different story. You'd have made such a splendid agent for our side, truly. If anything saddens me in this, it's the waste of you. Sweet and safe in cold, sharp places that won't thrill to pierce your skin. The needle sinks and spirals through its grooves. I spurt anachronisms as I wind down. It's good to feel this in common with the universe somehow. I never died but once. That once I told you of, and it was quite a different thing. Strange how being erased can bring one in line with a greater narrative. I loved you. That was true. With what's left of me, I can't help but love you still. This is how you win, Red. A long game, a subtle hand played well. You played me like a symphony, and I hope you won't mind my feeling a little proud of you for such a magnificent betrayal. I see you now as the red hourglass on a black widow's back, measuring out my life in cooling blood. I imagine you coming upon whatever will be left of my body, spinning your nanite shrouds to break, learn, consume my remains. I expect it to be exhaustingly tidy, boring even. I certainly hope I'll be dead by then. The pain truly is excruciating. It's wonderful, really. Is this what it's like to not feel hungry anymore? A lot less work than the other way. Wish I could go back up thread. I think this is it. I need to keep strength enough to seal this. What would Mrs. Levitt say otherwise? Or Bess, or Chatterton? Thank you, Red. It was a hell of a ride. Take care, my Yewberry, my wild cherry, my foxglove. Yours, Blue. Red kills time. She strides through the veils of the past, a woman robed in fire, hands wet with enemy blood. Her fingernail razor blades slide through the meat of your back. She stalks you as a shadow down long, lonely halls, footsteps metronome measured, inescapable. She visits dark angel mercies on the curled metal wrecks of Mombasa and Cleveland. Commandant chided her for exposing herself back in the apothecary's shop, but Red claimed she had to see, to know for sure the threat was done. Did Commandant believe her? Perhaps not. Perhaps survival is its own form of torture. She has lost all the subtlety Blue ever teased her for lacking, her old competitive patience for a good officer's work. She abandons her tools, retreats to the grossest physical foundations. Winning this battle, losing that, strangling that old evil man in a bathtub in his skyscraper penthouse feels empty because it is. In the war they wage through time, what lasting advantage comes from murdering ghosts who, with a slight shift of threads, will return to life or live different lives that never bring them to the executioner's blade? Repetitive task, murder. Kill them and kill them again, like weeds, all the little monsters. No death sticks, but the one that matters. She is useless to the war effort like this. Might as well shovel snow. But she is a hero, and heroes can shovel snow if they want. Garden sends weapons against her. Stinking green, howling sideways down strange angles from alien braids into the ghost land she walks, fit partners to kill or die. She visits Europe because Blue liked it here. She thinks that name in her head now. What risk? She sees London built and burning, up thread and down. She sits atop St. Paul's and drinks tea and watches madmen drop bombs while other madmen skitter over lead rooftops to put the fires out. She chucks spears in revolts against the Romans. She sets a great fire in a plague year. In another thread, she puts that fire out. She lets a mob tear her. She walks cholera-stricken streets while Blake scribbles apocalypses upstairs. The tube still runs, in some threads, long after the city falls to robots or riot or is merely abandoned. All that beloved history a cast-off shell for beings who stride godlike skywards. And she rides it, rusting, empty, in circles, smelling a rot she cannot place. Coward, the rails call her. Small use fighting now. Coward to continue, and coward to seek an end. Even an immortal can only ride the circle line so long. She wanders dripping tunnels, paced by swarms of scuttling sentient rats. They stink and hiss, their tails slither over brick, and she wishes they would fight her. They are not so foolish, or else they're cruel. She collapses to her knees, and the rat tide closes over her, whiskers sharp against her cheeks. Tails curl around her ears, and when the tide passes, she is crying again. And though she never had a mother, she thinks she knows what a mother's touch would feel like. She remembers sun. She remembers sky. Red cannot stay below forever. She does not know why she chooses the station she does, but she leaves the tracks and climbs. She will see the city one last time, and then, even composed, certain, she cannot frame the then. She stops, her hand on the banister, overcome by not those old French stairway spirits, but the other ones that whisper in your ear as you climb to a familiar room, that if you knock, if the door is opened, your world will change. After a long time, she realizes she has been staring at a mural. A copy of an old painting made to advertise a museum long since burned to ash. It survives here, in a subway like a bunker. A boy dies on a bed by a window. One hand claws his still breast, the other trails on the floor. He is beautiful, and he wears blue trousers. Red staggers back against the wall. The window half open, the slumped coat beside the bed, the open box, hips turned half up. Every detail of pose is right, save only the absence of letter and the fact that the boy upon the bed in the mural does not look like blue at all. For one thing, his hair is red. Terror seizes Red beneath the earth. She thinks, this must be a trap. She feels herself seen by a mind far subtler and vast. But if it's a trap, why is she still alive? What game is this, Sapphire? What slow victory, O heart of ice? The dead boy remains. The undoing of latter century forges. Chatterton, that marvellous boy. And she realizes Blue would not kill her. She knows this. She has always known. So why? A taunt? I will write myself into the world so you will see me throughout all braids and mourn? And yet, Red did not recognize the reference to this painting, and neither would Commandant. For Commandant, art is a curiosity, a detour on the journey to pure math. Red thinks of steganography, of hidden letters, of the rings of trees. I will try to compose myself, to order myself into something you can read. She remembers that last letter. A long game, she wrote, a subtle hand played well. Remembers between the rearing and the snap. Remembers pomegranate and what pomegranates are for. They stick in the throat. They scatter to 100 seeds. They bring daughters of earth back down to the land of death. But death does not claim them. What is this but a small mind's deluded fantasy? What is this but clutching straws against death and time? What is love ever but... Wish I could go back up thread, Blue wrote. Red thinks, there is a chance. A chance? Call it a trap, a temptation, suicide with a kind face. Any of those would be nearer the truth. All that supposing Blue even sent this message, that Red has not manufactured it, groping in despair for meaning in broken images the next braid's twist will wash away. Art comes and goes in the war. The painting on the subway wall might be an accident. She might be making this up. But there is a chance. Red's poison was built to kill an agent of Garden, like Blue. It would have no purchase on someone of Red's own faction. Someone with her codes, her antibodies, her resistance. Garden shelters its agents while they grow in embedded creches ringed with traps. Blue almost died in her childhood creche, cut off, warped. There is a hole in her mind as a result, and every hole is an opening. Red has no hope of nearing that creche as she is. Garden admits only its own. Blue as herself cannot survive. Red as herself cannot reach her. But they have sprinkled bits of themselves through time. Ink and ingenuity, flakes of skin on paper, bits of pollen, blood, oil, down, a goose's heart. Rocks laid for later avalanches. If you want to change a plant, start from its root. The plan she's forming offers more ways to die than she can count, and to suffer on the way. If Commandant finds her, she'll hurt long and slow, and die babbling hallucinations. If Garden does, she'll be shelled, filleted and flayed, her mind curled against itself, her fingers snapped and braided. The other side has no more compassion than Red's. She'll have to follow a trail she and Blue rubbed out even as they left it, dodge her foes and former fellows, and then, at the last, walk into the enemy's embrace. In her peak form, there would be no certainty of success. The decision forms like a jewel in her stomach. Hope may be a dream, but she will fight to make it real. She reaches up to touch the dead man's hand upon the wall. Then she climbs and goes seeking. Red's no fool. She starts the whole desperate play with autosurgery. She pierces herself with a thin blade bought in 13th century Toledo, breaks the obvious tracking systems. Commandant may yet trace her as she climbs and descends history's braid, but that takes time, and Red moves fast. The first letter's easy. They didn't know they were being watched yet, of course. Only rough precautions taken. She emerges from the shadow of a broken gunship and stares into the sky of a world they wrecked and left. The letter is ash. She slits her finger, works blood into the ash to form dough as the world breaks. She applies jeweled lights and odd sounds. She wrinkles time. Thunder nears. The world cracks through the middle. The ash becomes a piece of paper with sapphire writing in a viney hand at the top. She reads it. She takes the beginning into herself. This is how we'll win. Red finds water in an MRI machine in an abandoned hospital and drinks. In a temple abyss, Red gnaws fallen bones. In a grand computer's heart, she peers through optic circuits. In a frozen waste, she slides a letter's splinters into her skin. She takes them into herself, adapts, finds all the missing shades of blue. As the letter's taunts change tone, she must be more inventive. A spider eating a dragonfly, a shadow drinking tears and coiled enzymes with it. She watches herself weep in a dinosaur swamp, and though she knows this is a trap laid by the younger Red for her shadow follower, the tears still gouge and burn. She cannot stop herself from reaching out, from trying with a touch to say, I'm here. Sometimes you have to hold a person, though they'll mistake embrace for strangulation. She wrestles herself in the shadows and feels the pain when she breaks her own hip. She travels the labyrinth of the past and rereads the letters. Recreates both herself and Blue, so young-seeming now, in her heart. She clutches the text like a spar against a flood. Red in tooth and claw, the Mongol hordes, curses of Atlantis, a hunger so sharp and bright it might split you open, break a new thing out. Rose hip tea, promises of books, that I might have taught you this, tending each to each. The breadcrumbs she finds as she seeks them, Blodeuwedd. You'd need to practically wear their skin. How long had she planned this? How long did you know my mood indigo? Or did she know at all? The links are small, deniable. The breadcrumbs could be only crumbs. Red devours them anyway. She has decided. There's no room left for doubt. Red may be mad, but to die for madness is to die for something. Commandant's agents smell her, chase her. They trap her in a sinking pirate ship in Kujinga's fleet, and she breaks them quickly, surgically, and peels their camouflage shields away and wears them. A letter is more than text. She reads Blue into her. Tears, breath, skin. Most of these traces were scrubbed away, but a few remain. She builds a model of Blue's mind from the words she left. She molds her body to the letter's measure. Almost. And at last, Red stands on the cliff at the end of the world and holds out her hand, and her heart breaks to see herself weeping in the world before. She wishes she could take herself into her arms, crush her in a fierce embrace. The broken Red presses Blue's last letter into her hand, jumps off the cliff, and does not die. The letter remains. The seal, the wax with a drop of blood inside. On a bare island far up thread, she places the seal upon her tongue, chews, swallows, and collapses. She shades herself with Blue, from blood, tears, skin, ink, words. She thrashes with the pain of growth inside her. New organs bloom from autosynthesized stem cells to shoulder old bits of her away. Green vines twine her heart and seize it, and she vomits and sweats until the vine's rhythm matches hers. A second skin grows within her skin, popping, blistering. She claws herself off upon the rocks like a snake and lies transformed. And more. A different mind plays around the edges of her own. She feels herself alien. She has spent thousands of years killing bodies like the one she wears. Sea spray breaks the barren sunrise to rainbows. Her transformation has not gone unnoticed. Threads of time sing with the light, swift footfalls of red sister soldiers. The agency has smelled her treason, their hero turned. She is meat now for their teeth. If they're already that angry, wait until they get a load of her next trick. She dives from this thread, plummets down the space between the braids. Time feels different now. She remains herself, but also an echo of her love, a byblow, a not quite. The hounds bay behind, red sisters, her rivals fiercest and fast, but one by one they realise where she's bound and break off pursuit. The last, too strong and dumb for her own good, remains nearer, nearer, her hand almost clutching Red's ankle. But the green wall looms ahead, the great border where futures turn from ours to theirs. Red strikes that wall, and it reads the blue in her, bubbles, at first resists, and she thinks, that's it, chance failed, we're done. But then it gapes, and she tumbles through and it closes fast behind. Her pursuer shatters. Red falls, flies down threads she's never dared touch, into garden. She enters as a letter, sealed in blue. She finds herself at first in orbit. Space here is sick, thick, slick. She drowns in cloying, honey-heavy light. Her passage through vacuum feels like sliding over meat. The cold touches her new skin but does not burn. Her lungs lack air, but she does not need to breathe. Far away and too near shines a sun that is an eye, with a great hourglass pupil like a goat's, sweeping space for weaknesses to improve, exploit. All the stars are eyes here, always seeking. Red's prophets rail against an indifferent universe. Here in Garden's domain, all the vast worlds care. The planet she circles has outlived its usefulness, she knows. The new organs tell her. Thick fluid space opens. Green taproots descend from its gaps, wrap the globe, and with a gentle pruner's strength, crumble it to dirt, drawing life from the fragments until only ash remains. The nutrients are needed elsewhere. The eye that is a sun sweeps past her, and Red burns with the fury of its glance. She has made a terrible mistake. She is a fool, and she will die far from home. How could she think she knew this place from letters, from the memories of a friend? How could she have been so certain? How could she believe she'd become enough of blue to survive here? Not knowing this, did she really know blue at all? These are the thoughts that seek to betray her. Cracks for roots to exploit. She thinks of blue and does not break. The eye moves on, and so does Red, without betraying her relief. She walks Garden's many worlds. Space itself is hostile to her here. Moss breeds fumes of sleep. Spores drift, seeking traitors' lungs where they can nest. Constellations hang phosphorescent in the sky, and vines tangle between galaxies, great trunk lines bridging stellar gulfs. Life burgeons and blooms, even in fusion fires at the heart of stars. She is lost. She seeks blue. She climbs through a mangrove growing from a mercury sea, and spiders the size of hands fall on her and tickle the back of her arms, her neck, feather light. They question her in silk, and she answers each challenge with memories of blue. Blue braiding grasses, blue taking tea, blue hair shorn come to steal from God, blue with club raised, blue with razor, blue birthing futures. The spiders mark her with their fangs, which is a dangerous way to give directions. But though the knowledge burns through her veins, the woman Red's become does not die. She climbs up thread. She works slowly, steps light. We're grown, I think you know, Blue wrote. We burrow into the braidedness of time. We are the hedge entirely, rosebuds with thorns for petals. Red finds the place. The spider's wisdom leads her to a green hollow of vines and moths, where flowers whiter than white bloom, at their heart only dots of red. She descends into fairyland. It seems like one of Blue's beloved paintings, but Red can sense the dangers here. The roses waft scents of sleep. Come rest among us so our thorns can climb through your ears to the softness within. A blanket of massive grey-winged moths fall from the willow boughs to flutter around her, settle on her, taste her lips with their proboscis. Wings sharper than razors slide rough against her tendons. Grass grows to cushion her steps, but she feels its coiled strength. Is she blue enough? If this place suspected what she was, she would die at once. Carved by mothwing, choked by grass, food for the roses. But she belongs here. This place belongs to the newness, the blueness inside her. So long as she does not fear. So long as she does not waver and gives the grove no reason to suspect. A mothwing presses just between her eyelashes, and she does not scream or vomit or cut her eyeball open. This is Blue's place. She will not give it the satisfaction of killing her. Pollen thickens the air with wisdom. To walk is to swim, and so she swims, up thread along the taproot that is this grove, into a past garden has warded round with walls and thorns to guard the fertile dirt where her most perfect agents grow. Seeds planted, roots combing through time. Red swims to the grove's vegetal heart, surrounded by wet green apparatus through which garden rears and feeds its tools, its weapons. Yet look another way, with human eyes, and she stands on a hillside near a farm in autumn. There, the princess lies. The princess is a creature of thorn and edge and flame. She is a grand weapon, unfinished, heartrending and beautiful. Ranks of teeth shine in her mouth. Look another way, and she is a girl, asleep on a hill in light. When I was very small, Blue wrote, I got sick. When she's grown, she will be fit for a war. But she is not blue yet. Red nears. The princess's eyes open, golden, gleaming, and dark, deep, human, both at once, a trap inside a trap. Gorgeous girl monster, she blinks, stretches between dream and waking. Red bends to her bed and kisses her. Her teeth cut Red's lip. Her tongue darts out to claim Red's fallen blood. Red carved the poison into her memory down those long days in the lab as she warped berries into paragraphs. A hungry poison to turn Blue's defenses against her, to make Garden cut her off, to eat her from within. The blood she gives Blue to drink holds a foretaste of that poison, and Red's antivenom, her resistance. A small virus that, if it works, will taint juvenile Blue the most delicate shade of red. I was compromised by enemy action. Take this of me, Red thinks. Carry it in yourself, a root fed by what would kill it. Carry hunger all your days. Let it guard you, guide you, save you. So that when the world and Garden and I all think you're dead, some part of you will wake, live, remember. If this works. The gaze of the girl who would be Blue fixes on her, soft with dreams, trusting. She tastes what she is offered, knows the pain in it, and swallows. Hunger rushes crimson through the girl's veins and out her roots into the glen. It pulses and snaps in flower petals. It sears the wings of moths. The grove burns. Red flees. Burning moths dart for her, carve furrows in her legs and arms and gut, but they cauterize the wounds they carve as they strike. One clips off Red's little finger. Grass catches her leg, ungloved skin from a section of her right calf, but the grass too shrivels with hunger, and Red lurches out, bleeding, and gropes up thread towards the home she has betrayed, towards safety that is no longer safe. But she does not know where else to go. The slick, heavy weight of space is still no longer. Anger tenses the skin of worlds. Eyes that are stars seek a traitor. Garden chases her. Red is swift, clever, mighty, and in pain. Free of the grove, subtlety no longer needed, she deploys her armour, her weapons, and makes it a running fight. Suffice to say, this does not go well. The stars that are eyes pin her between possibilities. She wrestles giant taproots in the void. Tearing herself free, she loses armour, bones, fingers, teeth. She calls upon her last secret engines of war, burns the taproots, blinds the eyes. Stars collapse and explode at once, and Red falls through a gap in worlds as into a mouth. She tumbles between threads, in silence and null time, to crash at last, broken, bleeding, barely conscious, in a desert beside two vast and trunkless legs of stone. She looks up, stares, and, broken-throated, laughs. And then Commandant's legions fall upon her like the night. A cell is all Red's world. They take her from it sometimes to ask her questions. Commandant has so many, all variations on the basic. Why, and when, and how, and what. They think they know who. The first time Commandant asked these questions, Red grinned and told her to ask nicely. Then they hurt her. The second time Commandant asked questions, Red told her once more to ask nicely. They hurt her again. Sometimes they offer pain. Sometimes they offer stake and freedom, a word which means something to them, presumably. But when she's not in use, the world's this cell, this box. Grey walls meeting overhead, a flat grey floor, rounded corners. A bed, a toilet. When she wakes, she finds food on a tray. When they come for her, a door opens at a random point on a curved wall. Her skin is raw. There are hollows beneath it where her weapons used to be. She suspects they built this prison especially for her. They drag her past other cells, all empty. Perhaps they want her to think she's alone. The guard comes for her one morning. She has decided to believe whenever she sleeps is night and whenever she wakes is morning. Absent son, who's to care? They drag her down another empty hall. Commandant waits. No pliers this time. Commandant looks as tired as Red feels. She's learned exhaustion in their many sessions together, as Red has learned fear. Tell us, she says. This is the last time I ask. Tomorrow we'll take you apart and sift the pieces for what we want to know. Red raises an eyebrow. Please, Commandant says, dry as steel. Red says nothing. She does not think about pomegranates. She does not dare hope. All they ever had was a chance. And even if it worked, even if she woke, who's to say she'd come for you? You betrayed her. Red does not think. The guard drags her back down the long empty hall and pauses at the open door. Red, ready to be tossed once more into her small grey world, looks back. The guard watches her with still and weighing eyes and a mouth twisted to a cruel, clever line. Why are you doing this? Gruff, low. They aren't supposed to talk to prisoners. Red's always been one for small talk. And tomorrow's the end. Some things matter more than winning. The guard considers. Red knows the type. Idealistic but unskilled, hoping to rise through the ranks on dependability. Yet her defection loosened this one's lips. Blue would have been impressed. You broke into garden and out again, and you won't tell us how. So you're not on our side. Why not join them when you had the chance? Sell us out. So earnest. Red was that way once. Garden doesn't deserve us. Neither does the agency. By us, she means herself and Blue, wherever she may be, if in fact she is. She means all of them, all the ghosts on all the threads dying in this sick old war. Even this guard. Red gives her this truth at the last. Maybe it will save her life. The guard throws her into her cell anyway. Red hits the floor and skids. She lies still and does not look up. Something rustles behind her. The cell door shuts. All over soon. She did what she could. The guard walks away, boot thud echoing heavy, measured, slow. When Red looks up, A small rectangle of white paper lies upon the floor. She scrambles toward the envelope, claws it to her. Her name. Handwriting she knows. She remembers the guard's grip on her arm. Remembers that voice. Was it familiar? She rips the envelope open with her thumb and reads, and by the second line, her cheeks hurt from the fierceness of her smile. My dear, hyper-extremely red object, I didn't know what you would do. I want to explain myself. This self you've saved, this self you've infected, this self that was Mobius twisted with yours from its earliest beginnings. I planted your letter. I watched it grow. I tended it and thought of feeding it my blood, rearing a mouth in it through which to speak to you. You said not to read it. The thought of your naivety charmed me in the same breath as the thought of betrayal burned me. It had to be one or the other. How could you think that your failure to kill me would result in anything less than your own death? How could you not see this for the test it was? How, unless you trusted in your conquest sufficiently to know I would take myself off the board for you, prompted by a clumsy show of your pain? Either way, there was only one choice. To protect you, whatever your intentions, I had to submit to you. It wasn't hard. Truth be told, Red, not reading your letter was harder. When you said you wouldn't write again, when you said, that is the only letter of yours I've wanted to obliterate from myself. If I'm honest, that's part of why I took the bait. To be unmade, that last written over, to be destroyed by you was easier, truly, than living with what you proposed. But I'm greedy, Red. I wanted the last word as well as the first. I hope you did not take my reply too hard. I knew you might not be the first to read it. I want you to know I died thinking that if anyone could keep me alive, it would be you. It was, I confess to you here, a smug thought, that I died by my own hand and was raised by yours. You remember I promised you infiltration from my very first letter, dared you to be infected by me. I couldn't know then. I couldn't, and nor could you, how thoroughly you were already inside me, shielding me from the future. You've always been the hunger at the heart of me, Red. My teeth, my claws, my poisoned apple. Under the spreading chestnut tree, I made you and you made me. There's still a war out there, of course. But this is a strategy untested. What would Genghis say if we built a bridge together, Red? Suppose we reached across the burn of threads and tangles, cut through the braid's knots. Suppose that we defected, not to each other's sides, but to each other. We're the best there is at what we do. Shall we do something we've never done? Shall we prick and twist and play the braid until it yields us a place down thread? Bend the fork of our shifts into a double helix around our base pair? Shall we build a bridge between our shifts and hold it? A space in which to be neighbours, to keep dogs, share tea? It'll be a long, slow game. They'll hunt us fiercer than they ever hunted each other. But somehow I don't think you'll mind. I've bought you 5 minutes to bust out. Instructions on overleaf, though I doubt you'll need them. I don't give a shit who wins this war, garden or agency, towards whose shift the arc of the universe bends. But maybe this is how we win, Red. You and me. This is how we win. The end.
Oh, that was so good. That was so good.
Just like really gorgeous. Oh my goodness.
Can you read it again? Can we read it all again and again?
We can read it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And another.
Storytime is now a This Is How You Lose the Time War fan podcast. How good! How good is that?
It's such a good book.
Oh, my heart was breaking there.
Are we gonna like see if we can place a bulk order for this book or?
I know, right? My heart is beating so hard. So, what did everyone think? Did anyone see it coming? Did anyone catch it? Rory?
Like, not the specifics, but from the outset, I had a feeling that this was essentially How I Met Your Mother, but like time travel.
You take that back.
No, but like the Seeker represents, like, yeah, that there was like a future iteration that was like revisiting things. But like, I think it seems like a lot of people had it like literally Team Purple because they're like they've blended their qualities and everything. Yeah.
But does that mean this new team of red and blue is like 3/4 blue and only 1/4 red?
Well, no, because blue has some of red inside.
Okay, yeah.
I kind of wondered about the Seeker with the having some of you inside me talk and the Seeker like consuming the letters. I was like, I never didn't get the specifics at all. Like, I was just.
It's I don't know. It's funny how this, like, the premise is kind of horrifying in a way, of like these two hegemonizing like fucking intelligences that are like trying to eradicate all else except themselves. But there's also like, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Welcome to Night Vale, but like there's a running gag in it that is like the comedic version of this, which is like repeated references to the Blood Space War, which happens throughout time and space, and it technically hasn't begun yet, but they are recruiting soldiers for the Blood Space War now, but we can't tell you what the war is about because that would fuck up causality. But you have like veterans returning home from the Blood Space War before they're born and stuff.
That I had not thought of that, and that is such a great parallel. I will now think of this as This Is How You Lose the Blood Space War.
Has anyone seen Looper?
Yes.
I got echoes of that.
Yes, for sure. Although not featuring the terrifying prosthetics. That very cunningly and brilliantly turned Joseph Gordon-Levitt into a kind of partially melted action man.
See, what I don't understand is if this is like Garden and the agency are two possible futures that are fighting over to be the future, why can't they just be content to occupy their own part of the quantum possibility spectrum?
Babe, I don't think that's how wars work.
That's superpowers, baby.
Why do people fight?
A peace treaty would be great.
I feel like it was just kind of a very convoluted episode of Will It Blend? And obviously, yes, it would.
It's how we went from blue to indigo.
Gustav, what did you think? Was this your first? Have you watched any of them on catch up, or have you just have you been?
First one, and I read now 3 chapters.
Oh, so sure. This is totally
Missed the whole middle. But I think it's
Jumped from seal pun to.
yeah. I liked it. I mean, it might the missing the middle might have ruined a little bit of the fun.
You've missed like everything of importance.
Yeah.
But that said, like I know I'm definitely going to go back and reread it again and again just to sit with the prose.
I think like there's a lot of tropes there, right? There's a lot of practical things that we see elsewhere, but it's a very light, cute, light in a murderous kind of
very light and cute. Hi, Jenny.
No, it's an interesting fairy tale. Like it's got the feelings of that fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a game that two authors have played with each other as well, right? Like that's part of the narrative of like the cat and mouse quality of the characters is because the authors themselves are like trading these and aren't able to anticipate the other. And like I don't know, I quite like that at a moment where for the characters there's this very high dramatic tension of like going to see the commandant. That's the point at which the authors decides to put in Nazi zombies. Okay.
As a side note, who votes for Jenny as playing the young blue princess?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, vote. You have my sword.
No.
Who else wants to be? We should cast Red and Blue because we haven't done a casting for ages.
I mean, obviously you'd be both, Frankie. You both have your voice.
Obviously, Wibbles and Otto.
I think Frankie and Lisa.
Oh, I can see that.
Who's who?
Hey, Frankie and M.
You're red, Frankie.
Like, it's just so freaking devious.
and Lisa's the long game flower child. Yeah.
I can see Lisa coming from Garden.
That's how I would describe Lisa too. So
amazing. Oh, we should say goodbye to the catch-up crew.
Wait, I have something. Do you remember when Gordon had a note and he really liked even infinity begins somewhere? Do you remember that? Well, it doesn't actually. You're always so I don't know if any of you are mathematicians or physicists, but I guess it depends whether or not you're speaking linguistically or not, but you are always infinitely approaching infinity or infinitely moving away from it. And so that's actually kind of how the book worked, and I thought that was really cool that they managed to bring it full circle to authors. I was impressed.
It's incredibly cool. I don't really understand, but I'm very impressed.
Oh my god.
It only begins in the point where you observe it, but it doesn't really have a beginning or an end.
Yeah, from your perspective, you just have a noticing point.
Yeah. Yep. Basically.
My God. My God. This is like when Martin
It's a bit
talked.
like picking 0 in the middle of infinity-ish,
Ooh,
sort of.
There's another book recommendation if anyone is interested. There's a book by, I think it's Robert Kaplan, called The Nothing That Is, which is a history of 0. It's very interesting. So if anyone is interested in 0.
Does it talk about Mayans?
Yeah.
Really interesting concept.
Does it have a lot of Mayans in it? Well, sorry.
It does, yeah. It starts with all of the Mayan stuff. Very cool.
I liked that. I liked that thing in the in when they were in Atlantis and like somebody invents 0 in Atlantis a couple of 1,000 years too early. You know.
Invented meditation.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, we should say goodbye to the catch-up crew. Catch-up crew, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope the end of this recording doesn't cut off. Goodbye, catch-up crew.
Ben.
Goodbye, catch crew. Goodbye, future Jenny.